Welcome to the new week, and here we are. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Lee W. Johnson, and this is my channel. If you enjoy my content, please do all the usual stuff, depending on where you're watching this or hearing this. So if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when videos are coming out. If you are watching this on Instagram, then please go over to my profile and follow. And if you are listening on the podcast, if this is your first time, then please follow me there, and of course share wherever you can, so that we can get more people and can spread the word, so to speak. All right. I'm actually going to be working on a few things this coming month in November. Three of the main things. One is just going to be a rather long-term project. So firstly, I'm going to be working on getting the next part of the Black Crow series out. If you don't know what that is, the Black Crow is one of my books that I wrote, and what I decided to do was take specific topics out of that book and condense them into a smaller book and add more material to them. So I've already done the meditation and breathwork one. I've done the banishing rites. The next one is going to be sigil magic. So I'm going to be taking, as I said, the information out of the Black Crow that was pertaining to sigil magic, putting it into a separate book, which is a lot smaller, and then adding more content to give more explanation and go a bit more in depth into the topics themselves. So that one's going to be focusing on that one this month. I'm also going to be focusing on new video courses. So the one I'm going to be doing in November will be candle magic. By the looks of it, I've already created the outline, done all the background research that I need to do, etc., etc. It's going to be quite a big one, so that will probably take the whole month to create, and then I should have that out towards the end of the month. And then the third thing, which is a long-term project, what I'm going to be doing is developing a healing, just words have gone now, as they do, developing a system for healing which is actually focused on the demonic. So it will be demonolatry mixed with energy healing. It's going to be all energy healing type of work. So I will be bringing some ideas from Reiki, from demonolatry, vibrational magic, sound, quite a few things into it to create an entire system, and it will, again, as I said, revolve around the demonic. So we will be looking at a lot of the demonic, the healing demons, Varine, Marbas, etc. And it will be a system that will hold a current, and therefore there will be probably attunements and such things as well. So that's going to be, as I said, a long-term project. So watch out for that. I'll probably do updates as I go. This week I want to talk about the spirits of the Goetia. Now, I tend to focus a lot on the spirits of the Goetia, which is why the Demon of the Week is the spirits of the Goetia. And the main reason for that is that I developed a connection with them many years ago. So over the years, it really has been working with the spirits of the Goetia. I do occasionally touch on such things as the spirits that come from Abramelin, because I did the Abramelin operation several years ago. So there's obviously a connection there through the actual work itself. The other grimoires I don't particularly focus on very much. I have touched on some of them here and there. But as I said, my main focus has been the Goetia, because it's just a relationship that I've created myself, or that has developed and created over several years. So when it comes to spirits of the Goetia, it's been quite a journey to try and figure out what these spirits are, where they come from, and such things. And okay, as always, this is my personal opinion, this is my perspective, this is how I view things, this is how information and knowledge has developed in myself and in my own head over years and years. Obviously everybody else is going to have a different opinion. There are some people that suggest that the Goetia spirits are all ancient gods and goddesses, and we find this with Astaroth, Belial, Baal, even, you know, you've got the main names, but we also have Horus, in the Goetia, H-A-U-R-E-S, which is also Flerius, but a lot of people have suggested that it is Horus, the Egyptian god. I've even seen over the years mention of such spirits as Halfus and Malthus, being Hugin and Munin, the ravens of Odin. So you have a lot of the spirits that people are connecting to the older gods and goddesses and such beings, entities, deities. We also have people who consider the spirits of the Goetia to be archetypes, and also Crowley also mentions this in his introduction to the Goetia itself, is that they are aspects of the psyche. All of these are completely valid. All of them are true. They are all things. You know, I think how we interact with them becomes how we perceive them, how we view them, how we create the relationships with them, and that determines, you know, if they are separate entities, or they are aspects of the psyche, or they are archetypes. None of these are wrong. They're all correct. But my own personal view, more recent developments, I suppose. I mean, I have gone from them being these separate entities to being gods and goddesses from ancient traditions, to being archetypes, to being aspects of the psyche. Alright, so the most recent development is that they are, you'll find this in modern demonolatry. There is reference to the Goetia spirits being Jinn. Now, when we talk about Jinn, again, there are lots of opinions about what the Jinn are. But the Jinn are a race of beings that were created before humans. They came out of the desert. They were created from fire. Now, when we are referring to demonolatry, the demons within demonolatry, within modern demonolatry, what we're talking about are divine intelligences, and we can stretch that aspect, that definition, across the board. We can include angels, we can include gods and goddesses from all areas, from all different traditions. We can include demons, we can include fae, we can include a lot of spirits which are considered to be divine intelligences. But within modern demonolatry, I've said this over and over, we focus on a specific pantheon of spirits, of deities, and those spirits, those deities, those divine intelligences that we focus on are usually in the area of ancient Middle East. So this is your Phoenician, your Mesopotamian, your Egyptian, your Babylonian, you know, that whole ancient Middle East area. So we find here the Jinn. And the Jinn came out of the deserts. They are a race of being which were created from fire. And there's a lot of mythology around the Jinn. I don't want to get into that mythology. You know, I'm still trying to work through it and trying to figure out what, you know, button down what I actually consider to be, I can't really say truth, but my truth. Let's put it that way. Because there is a lot to work through, there's a lot to consider, there's a lot to talk about. Not just with other people, but with the spirits themselves, to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So I don't want to get into that, but I do consider the Goetia to be Jinn, and in terms of that, we can then say, depending on your definition of Fae, if we consider Fae to be the all-encompassing umbrella of otherworldly beings, then we can put them under the category of Fae. They created, you know, the Jinn were a culture. They were a species. They were a race. They had their own culture. They had religion, just like we do, and just like the Fae do. So we can say that the Jinn are Fae, in a sense. Now, when it comes to this, we are coming back to the names, and such names as Belial, as Astaroth. I don't particularly think that they are the same entities as the deities, the ancient gods and goddesses that they are said to be. I don't think that Belial from the Goetia is the same Belial that we would consider to be a god of ancient worship, or probably the best one to actually consider here is Baal. Baal, in a sense, is actually, you know, Connolly actually said that Baal is the fiery aspect of Baal. Now, when we say Baal, Baal really translates to Lord, and Baal can be added to many, many names. Baal Berith, Baal Zebub. It can be added to a lot of names because it means Lord, so it's Lord of da 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 da. So, you know, when we're just considering the name Baal, it's a bit difficult to actually pinpoint which deity that is. But Baal from Goetia is considered to be the fiery aspect of Baal. And in many ways that makes sense, coming back to the Jinn, who were a fiery race. So we have that one. We then have Astaroth, who is considered to be cognate to Astarte, Inanna, and Ishtar. However, when you look into the aspects, the offices of these four different beings, these entities, Astarte, Inanna, Ishtar are ancient goddesses. They envelop this whole fertility, war goddess, sex goddess, love, passion, that whole aspect, whereas Astaroth from the Goetia doesn't encompass any of that at all. Completely different. But so what I'm trying to get at basically is that I don't believe that the spirits of the Goetia were these ancient gods and goddesses, which a lot of people consider them to be. I believe that they were Jinn. They were Jinn. They were spirits of a fiery nation, just to put it that way. And in respect to that, you know, we humans, we name our children quite often after gods and goddesses, after deities, and I think it's very much the same here. These Jinn were named after the gods and goddesses. and that's why they got, you know, the names from the deities of the ancient Middle East. But it doesn't mean that they are their god and goddess. They are their own entity, and we work with them in that sense. So I don't know if that was confusing or not, but that's basically what I have come to believe. So, you know, when I talk about Astaroth or Belial, I'm not actually, from the Goetia, I'm not actually talking about the same entity as the what we consider to be the god or goddess. Doesn't make them any lesser. Let's put it that way. I mean, these Jinn, these spirits, are not any lesser to these gods or goddesses. We are no lesser to them. I think that's where a lot of people fall down, especially when it comes to things like the Goetia, where we give them rank, we give them this hierarchy of king, duke, knight, etc. And because of that hierarchy, because of that rank, we consider the kings to be more powerful than the dukes. It's not the case at all. You know, none of these spirits are lesser or greater than any others. They just have their own office, their own aspects, their own things to do, like we do in our lives. You know, one person's an architect, another person's a plumber, another person's an electrician, another person's a doctor. They all had a calling to something, or they all got educated in a particular thing. Maybe it was a family business and they continued the business. But we all have different things that we do, different professions, different skills. We all have different skills. And if we bring all of those skills together, we work together, you know, we can get a lot of things done. So when we look through the spirits of the Goetia, they all have their different offices, their different aspects, their different skills. You know, they have their skill sets, and it doesn't make them any greater or lesser than each other or the gods and goddesses. It just means that they have a particular skill set. Same with the gods and goddesses. You have your gods of money and finance. You have your gods of healing. They all have their own skill sets, just as we do. So, you know, I think we need to try and get out of that idea that these spirits are have this ranking, have this hierarchy. You know, if you even look at the Ducant hierarchy, you'll find that it's not necessarily a hierarchy, it's more of grouping them into families. So you have your love demons, you have your death demons, you have your healing demons, and they're kind of grouped into families rather than hierarchies, although for some reason we refer to it as a hierarchy. But anyway, so that's really it. Just my opinion of what the Goetia spirits are. And I think if we look at the other grimoires, we might find something similar. You know, maybe in a few months or a couple of years from now, I will focus more on one of the other grimoires and speak to the spirits there in more detail and get their opinion. But you know, for now, I love the Goetia. I love the spirits of the Goetia. They are family, really. They're part of the gang. I always used to think, years ago I was actually talking to somebody and I said to them, it's like the spirits of the Goetia are like a biker's gang, and they either like you or they don't like you. If they like you, you get pulled into the gang. If they don't like you, you know, don't go back. I've always seen it like that. You know, I think we should get some biker jackets or something for the spirits of the Goetia. Alright, so that's it for today, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Okay, so have a good one until we next speak, and I'll see you again Wednesday. Cheers for now.